Welcome to Martini Time. For me, this is like this has always been called happy hour, although this talk doesn't take an hour. So it's happy half hour. And in my family, the happy hour was the time when the clock hit 5 that my father could make highballs, whiskey and water, for he and his wife, and they would have a highball, and that was a big deal. But you had to wait till 5 o'clock. Speaking of time, I don't have my watch on me, so I don't know how long I'm going to talk. I just noticed that it wasn't there. And so anyway, the happy hour as a ritual, a universal ritual kind of like, is at the end of the day when the work is over and the scheduling is over and time is over, you can relax. It's kind of like sitting on the front porch with a drink, you know. So the happy hour is the end of suffering. Happy hour, you know. Oh, happy day. In religious terms, you know, happy day is when Jesus comes. Oh, let him walk, you know, when Jesus comes. Oh, happy day. But it's always in the future. But in the music, it's now. See, that was what was so great about gospel in the black churches, is that the music made the happy day now. The song was about sorrow and the end of sorrow tomorrow in the promised land, you know, when tomorrow we'll be relieved of our suffering. But the music was happy now music. So you see, there's a disconnect between the story of happiness will come in the future when Jesus comes or Trump is elected or whatever the Savior will bring. That's in the future. So you get this horizontal beam. Future happiness is in the future. But oh, happy day in the music is the vertical, you see. Where's my cross? See what I mean? So, oh, happy day, when the music, the song, is about the horizontal, past and future. Happy day is coming. Better days are coming. We're going to a better place. Tomorrow is better than now. Happy day, happy tomorrow is what the story says. But the music is singing happy day to now. Or if this is the Protestant thing, happy day is now. This is the Catholic view, this is the Protestant view. Catholic, Protestant, same cross, right? So, happy day is now. So happy hour is kind of like a secular, oh, happy day when the martini walks. You see? Oh, happy day is now. You can relax, have a drink. Or in England, you go to the pub after work, you see. Or at work, you go to the bar after work and drink and relax, you see. That whole idea of letting go. You know, tomorrow will come, I go back to work, you know. So what's on this treadmill, and then the happy hour is that little is the today's resurrection of happiness, you know, when you can let go, you know. Okay, so anyway, this happy day is. I was just watching. We have a new mystery now. We just finished watching Shetland. And they're going to have another one next year, so we're looking forward to that. But right now we're watching Hinterland, and this one takes place in Wales. And just again, now you got to work through the Welsh dialect when you had to work through the Scottish dialect in the other one, you know. But our ears are getting tuned. But the theme here is the same, in that the mystery is a resolution of suffering. In the mystery as metaphor, Suffering ends here. So the whole these particular mysteries last for an hour and a half. And it's very tense because you're searching for the clues. You're going along with the detective, and the music is there's the tension, looking for the clues. What does this mean? What does this mean? Wait a minute, what does this mean? How does this fit? The puzzle. Oh, where does this piece go? Where does this piece go? What does the picture look like? When I get all the pieces together, I'll know who did it. And when I know who did it, that will be the cessation of tension. That will be, oh, happy day. Jesus walks, happy day, you see. I know who did it. We can rest. And then always you have the tension, coming to a crescendo there, and they catch the killer, or the killer is exposed, and he is caught, and the evidence is irrefutable. And also England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, oh, they're such rich in mysteries because they have so much past. They got grievances that last hundreds of years. American mysteries are more, they're more violent, and they're also more immediate in the grievances. It's more like murder for money or whatever, But all these crimes are about murder for grievances. Murder to restore happy day. I won't be happy until there's justice and I get my land back that my great-great-grandfather stole. That my neighbor's great-great-grandfather stole my land, or my grandfather's father's land, and then I'm still poverty-stricken because he took my land 3 generations ago, and I've got to restore justice. All this grievance, you see, this accumulated pain, this pain body. And it comes to a point where the only way out is to commit murder. And then I had no choice, you see. I had no choice. The killer confesses to the detective, There was no way out of this double bind. So it's all about it's all about the cessation of suffering. So Buddha said, when he sat down, now remember again, Buddha is not about a historical person. I mean, Buddha lived, Sakyamuni Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, lived 550 years before Christ. So, and everything he said wasn't written down for 300 years. It was an oral tradition, so his monks just memorized what he said. And finally they began to copy it down into Pali. And then, of course, it's been translated into other languages, Sanskrit, Pali to Sanskrit, and then to other languages. And all the monks, all the commentators, all the pundits, all the sages, all made commentaries on it. And it's like a Facebook thread, which starts out with one statement, and for 500 years you have people commenting on it. Or for not 500 years, now we have people commenting on it. I'm commenting on it. We have no idea what the original word was. So it's metaphor. It's not facts. It's not a documentary of what happened. So when the Buddha sat down under a tree and said, here's where suffering ends, I will make no more effort. See, for 7 years, he made extreme effort to end his suffering. The yoga of this guy, the yoga of that guy. Now, yoga was 1,000 years old already when Buddha was there. So there were a lot of sages with followers, just like today, a lot of gurus, each one with their own philosophy, their own means to enlightenment, their own methods, their own certainty, and he tried them all. None of them worked. They all had limitations, and each one said, you become a great master. You have potential, Siddhartha. Stay with me, and you can inherit all my students and be famous, you see. And he said no. And he left. And so then he came to the Bodhi tree. And he said, this is where suffering ends. I will sit until I see the end of suffering, or I will die. And so he sat. And I think he sat for 7 days. And then he went through the stages of enlightening. So he went through, it was like a diving bell going down through the psyche. And he went down through the layers of the human psyche until he came to rock bottom. There's one of my little visuals when I feel like using a visual aid to meditation. If you like visualization, is to visualize a secret garden, and you open the door and you walk in, and there's a well there, and there are pebbles, white pebbles there, and you pick up one, and you can visualize this, and you pick it up and you drop it into the well, and you see the pebble coming down, and it hits the water, plop, and then it goes down, and light hits that white pebble, and it goes down through the well, through the depths. And there's all these layers of your own mind there, all your old memories, all your grievances, everything, it's all there. And this little white pebble keeps going through it, and then it comes to a sandy bottom. And then it comes to rest on the sandy bottom, at the bottom of the well. And the little rock becomes a pearl, and it becomes self-luminous. And the pearl begins to illuminate, become more self-luminous, you see. It becomes self-luminous at the bottom of the well. And it's silent. And you just sit with that. You just sit, you see. You just sit. You don't make any effort. If thinking comes, it just bubbles up, you see. You just sit, you see. And that's the end of suffering. So anyway, the Buddha did that. And, excuse me, and when he awoke, when he came out of his meditation, the exclamation was, throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the most honored one. Now, I talked about this earlier, and some people, well, that sounds very conceitful. Well, yes, if you look at it objectively as somebody saying that, but Buddha's not somebody. This is you saying it. See, Buddha is your I. See, Buddha is not something out there. That's why in the Buddhist tradition, everyone has Buddha nature. So everyone is Buddha. So everyone is a first person I. So you are Buddha, you see, and I am. And so when this awakening happens, this shift in the center of awareness from external, being exiled and looking at everything with grievances and piled up pain and pain body and all that, you see, that's the external view, the accumulation of history, the accumulation of time and grievances. England has a huge accumulation of grievances because it's so old. Our grievances just go back to the Revolutionary War and then really to the Civil War. So people are still grieving over that. People are still carrying the pain body of the Civil War on both sides, on the black side and the white side. You see, so this collective grief, you see, is still bubbling and creating fumes like lava in a volcano in us, you see. And that's because we haven't looked at it. We haven't turned. And so a lot of these mysteries are about the turning of the grief. And it stops now. So like these family grievances that create a murder, a series of murders, the whole metaphor of these mysteries is that when with the murderers in these movies, there is a realization of what they have done. That their misguided attempts to restore justice has it just has come to naught. They're going to jail. Well, it's not so much as coming to jail. It just seems to be a self-realization that they did it. You know, this it's like coming to ground zero. It's like coming to balance. You know, the teeter-totters are like this and that, you know. Well, the teeter-totter's balance when it comes to rest like that, where nobody is making any more effort to be up while the other one's down. You see, the teeter-totter is a great metaphor because each one wants to be up. And so, you know, in order to be up on one side, the other one's got to be down. So for me to be right, you've got to be down. You know, so there's this trying to come to ground zero is the end of trying to be up and down, trying to restore justice. You see, so it's all about this effort to restore justice that makes these mysteries go. Because in the effort to restore justice, you have to get rid of the cause of your grievance. And when bargaining doesn't work, murder, you see, makes the mystery. You have to kill the other to make the teeter-totter become to zero or balance. You have to shoot the guy on the other end of the teeter-totter. But then what happens? You don't restore balance. You see. So in Buddhism, in this whole tradition of transcendental awareness, I wish we had another name for Buddhism. I like that, transcendental awareness. TA, let's invent that. Instead of TM, TA, transcendental awareness is what Buddhism, particularly Zen Buddhism, transcendental awareness. So anyway, so now you're kind of like open it up. Now, Vedanta, Sufism, mystical Christianity, like with Thomas Merton and the Christian mystics of the Middle Ages, current mystical systems, Eckhart Tolle, Krishnamurti, Mooji, all of these different gurus and systems, and Oso, and you know, the internet's full of it, you know. They're all aspects of transcendental awareness. Transcendental awareness, then, is it's not a means. It's awareness that transcends the duality of the experiential world, which is fundamentally unjust. The world is not just. We think it should be. We think this is not right. It should be perfect. It should be just. Well, life is not just. Babies die. Prisoners live longer than the people they hurt. You know, it's not just. You see, so life is not just. But we're constantly trying to make it just. So the effort to restore justice creates the murder mysteries. You see, the effort to bring balance creates imbalance. So the only way to restore justice is to see there is no justice. And when you see there is no justice, miraculously, you see that everything is just. If you see everything is imperfect, the opposite is also true. Everything is perfect. If you see that everything is out of balance, everything is in balance. If you see everything is empty, simultaneously everything is full. You see that? If everything were empty, you could not see emptiness. If everything is green, you can't see green. If everything is God, you can't see or experience God. Because everything, including you, is God. If everything is truth, you can't see truth. So because I can't see it, I think it's missing, so I got to make it. Everything is God, but I can't see it because everything is God. There is not one little grain. If there was one grain of sand that wasn't God, pop, you would see the injustice of it. Why is that grain of sand there? Get rid of that grain of sand. You see? This is where racism comes in. If you're a racist, you want everything to be white. Ah, yes. But if there was one black person, one little dot there, it would drive you crazy. Because it would make you aware that everything wasn't white. And you'd have to get rid of that. If everybody on earth was white and there was one black dot, you would have to get rid of it if you were racist. Because it would remind you that everything isn't white. So if everything were green, you wouldn't see it. I don't know if you're following with this. But if everything is green, using that as a metaphor, you could not see it. You would have to have something not green in order to see the color green. But then green wouldn't be everything. And now you would have injustice. You would have this other color. And so if you have God, and everything is God, you can't see it unless you have a little devil. So one spot of sin will make you aware of God. And of course, you are the one who sees God, and that little spot of sin must be removed because God is all, you see. But the irony is that if you remove it, then you don't see God and you can't be right. So in order to be right and on the side of God, I have to see sin. And then I have to restore. Then you see what I mean? You see what happens? So now I have created a righteousness. You see, that's sin. I got to get rid of it. You see, the irony is, if you got rid of it, you would no longer know that you were right, because the righteousness, if everything were right, you can't be righteous. The only way you feel righteous is because you can see somebody who isn't righteous, who is opposite, you see. So we have to create the imbalance in order to try to be balanced. We have to create injustice so we can try and restore justice. We have to create sin so we can try to restore goodness, you see. So the effort and trying then makes me somebody. I'm on the good side. We're trying to save the world. What's wrong with you? You see? So in order to be on the Savior side of the equation, I have to create somebody to be saved or fixed. And they can't argue it out of it because, obviously, whatever they say is because they need fixing. You see, if you're a witch, however you deny it, that just affirms the fact you're a witch, because a witch is going to deny they're a witch. You see. So, but we don't want to talk about Hillary's emails. Okay, I don't know how long I've talked, so I'm going to end with this. And thanks for joining me in this happy hour, and where we discuss why the effort to restore justice is a misguided effort. The effort should be towards seeing instead of trying to do. You can't try to see. You just see. And you see when you realize the futility in trying to see. When you realize the futility in trying to be good, and you surrender the effort to be good, suddenly goodness happens. Okay, thank you.